something simple, which is, how do you define trauma? What is trauma?
A trauma is an experience that overwhelms you, that just wipes you out, that makes you have an experience and a reaction of, oh my God, and really makes you collapse and makes you want to forget. It makes you want to push it away. It makes you want to erase it. It's an experience that's too hard to go back to. Don't want to remember it. You don't want to feel it because it's so horrendous.
Is this something that only comes from the most extreme experiences of life, or can we experience or be traumatized by the experiences of sort of everyday existence?
Trauma is really something that just is so horrendous that you cannot encompass it, that you cannot cope with it, that is too much. And suddenly seeing your best friend getting killed or something that's just like, oh my God, oh my God. It's not just a lousy experience. It's not flunking for an exam or being fired from a job.
So it has to be something more visceral, something that's almost the body can't quite process it.
Yeah, it's really like, the reaction is really, oh my God. It renders a person completely helpless and no way out, basically. But it can be as simple as being beaten up by your mom when you're a kid. Even though you're screaming, she keeps going on or he keeps going on. And so for kids, something in the family system can be quite horrendous in terms of being beaten up or being kicked or being molested in a way. For a child, the experience can be quite overwhelming. That for an adult, you could have fought back or you could have done something about it.
So does helplessness play into our experience of trauma?
Helplessness is an absolute precondition for it. The feeling needs to be like, there is nothing I can do to change what's going on here.
I want to zoom out slightly and hear from you a little bit about the history of our relationship and understanding of trauma and how to treat it in the medical world.
Well, the history waxes and wanes. Basically, just like people who have been traumatized, society at large doesn't really want to think about it, doesn't really want to go there because it's too painful and people feel horrendous and helpless in response to it. So what I've seen in my lifetime, people tend to push things away after a war is over. Civilian populations and politicians once again think, oh, let's go to war. For example, before the invasion of Iraq, I wrote an editorial to the New York Times saying, yes, you can indeed go to war in Iraq, but what will happen is that after people come back, there will be more suicides than there were battle casualties, because we know that from every other previous war, about half of the people who we will send off will become drug addicted or alcoholics, because it happens after every war. Many of them will become unemployable. Their family relationships will oftentimes become extremely difficult and fraught with issues. So we know what will happen, but if you want to forget the reality of what happens after something like this, you can go to war. And so people continuously sort of ignore what happens. And we know with how there are about 1 million abused kids in America, and we tend to just think, oh, somehow they'll get over it. Kids are resilient. And no, the kids are not resilient, and we will pay a heavy price for ongoing maltreatment for children. And so basically the history has been always, let's push it under the rug, let's make it disappear, let's not pay attention to it. And then from time to time something happens and something comes up in the culture, like right after a war, people say, oh my God, look what happened. And then before too long it gets forgotten again. And then you have something like what's happened in the Mexican border right now with the refugees, and everybody goes, oh my God, isn't it terrible what's happening to these kids? But at the same time, we ignore the fact that 2.3 million American children have parents in jail who are living under circumstances not unlike what the refugees do at the Mexican border.